And this song is kind of fitting, folks. This is a classic song by Natalie Merchant and 100,000 Maniacs. It came out years and years ago, but a very appropriate title because we are here tonight to celebrate 75 years of just a wonderful program that has been in the Valley forever since 1946. The Seymour Wildcats, who, just had a storied, traditional program forever. And we're very delighted because one of the people we have on tonight, and we're really excited, he was a graduate of Seymour High in 2003. He was a player for Seymour High from 2000 to 2002. And he's currently in his 9th year as an assistant coach at Seymour. He also had stints in Torrington and Naugatuck. He was also involved with the Seymour freshman program, an all MVL, all Valley selection in 2002. And it is my honor because he's going to tell you all about what's going on in Seymour with the 75th celebration. And of course, I'm talking about Jamie Burns. And Coach, I want to thank you for coming on today.
Nietzsche, thank you for having me. What a difference this fall is than last. And, to start the Facebook page back in April of 2020 and then have some expectation that I might obviously not have a season and then be difficult to have the 75th anniversary. In a good way, the silver lining of that was that I feel like it's going to make the event a little bit bigger. It's giving people more time to plan. And when this all started, just as you referred to, the Seymour program, I was aware, even though, I'm not too familiar with other programs, had a higher level of connectivity between the players. And, most places, you have a coach, nowadays even less, but you'd have a coach for 10 years or, he'd be 15 years with, the coach I played for, Paul Sponheimer, and many others. He was there for 3 decades. He was there for 29 years. So originally when the page started, the one thing that you had in common with everybody from 80 to 08 was Spoonie. And then the page actually expanded, in a backward way where, I was like, what? We got to get more stuff. So we've touched on literally almost every year. And I can tell you the years we haven't. I don't think we've touched on 1947 at all. And we haven't touched a great deal on maybe 1 or 2 years from the 70s. But anybody like yourself who's on the page knows if there's anything I'd be guilty of, I've touched on too much. So we're really excited. It's 16 days away. And it's a busy time for me right now. But, you gotta, as Jim Calhoun said, you got to kind of pull the sled across the finish line. So we're going to get there.
Right. And, Jamie, you just said a busy time for you. And, people don't realize you're kind of, the chairperson for this event. You've been coordinating it and everything. But you're also a coach on the staff. So, you've got a lot of, hours during the day that you've got to fill between work, coaching, and then putting this together. Let me ask you, has it been stressful for you, or knowing you probably enjoy every second of it?
Well, I do enjoy doing the page. I especially like, if I get new clips and new pictures, I really like to kind of frame those up at the right time and put them there. The season I knew would take its toll. And as soon as I get off this with you, I got to drop some scout cards. I'll do that. That's something that I enjoy doing, but it is time. And then I have the 3-month-old, baby. So that's been a tremendous change for me. But I am in warrior mode during football season. And the page, thankfully, Facebook allows me to advance posts. So when I get like an hour, believe it or not, what I'm doing is, and when I say get an hour, it's not like time that I have to be scouting or practicing. It's like the baby's sleeping, and it's like, okay, what do I do? I'll get like 16 clips, pictures together, and I'll do Tuesday. I'll do Wednesday. So I've been able to do that, but it's been tough. It's harder than ever right now, but it's more important than ever right now because I feel like if you're looking to have a big crowd for this event, which obviously we are. Listen, if you played at Seymour and you're on the Facebook page, and unless you have a dreaded fall wedding, which are incredibly inconvenient, I just had my cousin's, which was, thank God, on a Sunday night because, and I told my wife this, if somebody has a Friday wedding in the fall, guess who's not going? Me. I can't do that. You know what I mean? The game or a wedding, well, unless it's my own wedding, I'm not going. I'm not missing a game. We wait all year for this. And last year we didn't play at all. So, but you're right. It's been busy, but I feel an obligation to all the people that are on the Facebook page to get this done. Right now, Nietzsche, the biggest thing, And I certainly have no experience with this because think about it. Like, I'm an assistant coach. I don't have a serious amount of pull here, getting Parker. We have the 91-year-old guy coming from the first team. I had no idea anybody was alive. Rich Malinauskas. I'm thrilled that he's coming up from Maryland. But his family wants parking, and we're going to do what we can to get that. But those aren't strings there. It's not like I'm an assistant principal or something. So, but hey, I'd rather be dealing with this than not. So we're going to get it done.
Right. And Jamie, just let me ask you this. I'm sure, like, obviously Seymour people have a great idea of the Seymour program, but just give people that aren't from Seymour, just a little background of, how Seymour football originated. And, obviously it's evolved into one of the best programs in the state, but just talk about how it originated.
So Seymour first varsity football team is in 1946. There was other like club teams and stuff prior to that. I can't even talk about that because I don't know much about it. But the first official team is in 1946. You had a change in our country then because, World War II had ended. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Our first coach is John Janenda.
Yeah.
John Janenda is an outsider. He's not from Seymour. He's there for 3 years. So in 46, we have a winning season. It's an 8-game season, and Seymour went 4-3-1. Our final game is Naugatuck that year. We beat them.
Right.
And they finished with a winning season in their first year. So that's the first year. You see a lot of these startup programs, and they don't do very well. And, it's amazing to me, but I take for granted how much I know and how much I pay attention. We were obviously in the Housatonic League. Derby, and you know this better than I, had been playing football since the end of the 19th century. You had Shelton, who's been playing for an awful long time. And you had North Haven, who I believe, started their program. I could be wrong. They're ahead of us. They had their 75th anniversary in like 2015 or 2014. Yeah. You had Naugatuck, who's been playing football forever. Because if you think about it, this will be the 131st meeting with them and Ansonia on Thanksgiving. So I can do a little math. So that season, goes well. 47, I believe, is a losing season. 48, which is Janenda's last year, the team goes 6-3. Okay. And at that point in time, Cheshire's not in the Housatonic and Amity are not in the Housatonic. And I thought this is crazy, but you're playing against the Wallingford High, which is bigger than us. Almost every team other than Derby was a much larger school than Seymour. And when Coach Janenda leaves, he takes, I believe, the ND West Haven job, which is an all-boys Catholic school. It's an upgrade, at that point in time. He's not from Seymour, so he doesn't have it. And then Coach Gessick comes in 1949. Coach Gessick is there from 49 to 66. And we played our games at French Park. Yeah. A lot of people are like, well, Seymour High doesn't get built until 62, and then Debarber Field doesn't get built until 67. French Park is historic. I mean, I've been there for many baseball games. It's because the old Seymour High is where the old middle school is. That over there, I think it's on Pine Street. Again, it's that town geography is not my thing, but the players used to walk from, if you've ever been across the bridge there, used to walk from what's the old middle school there, which was the old high school, and they would walk up the hill to practice at French Park. And, French Park's like dead smack in the middle of Seymour, and it was a community event, and just about everybody would go. And that part of Seymour football, I was, far, far years from being born, but I've tried to do my research on it. So Coach Gessick's there till in 1953, we have our first championship team. He goes 7-1, and he wins the Housatonic League title outright. Right. You go, 8th season, and you win the Housatonic. Housatonic League was very difficult. I know that Ansonia plays in the MDL, but, by and large, you're playing against really, really tough competition. Plus, we always played Naugatuck. Right. So they win it in 53. And then it's that year we have our first New Haven Register All-State player. And back then, as you may know, the only All-State players were those 24 players picked. So if you made that team, you were really good. And that was John Kiddick. John Kiddick makes as a guard and, on offense. And then as the program evolves, you have a really good player the following year. 54 Seymour is an excellent team. because there's no Cheshire and there's no Amity. You're playing Southington, and you're playing another out-of-league team. East Haven was actually particularly good. Chris Afari was the coach there, and he was doing a good job. So Walt Stussy, or I might be pronouncing his name wrong. Again, I don't know everything. Walt Stosey, could be wrong. He was a tremendous running back. He was very good on the 53 team. He makes register All-State. 55 is another good year, and then 56 is a tremendous team. With Ed Tonic, you have, and these guys are still alive. It boggles my mind. I was talking to some people the other night. Marty Blanco was a great player, about 6'5", monster. We beat Southington 13-12 that year, and they finished 6-2-1. Really good team. Right. And then the latter part of the 50s is kind of lean, but we had a great player. He was an electric player. He carried the ball almost every down. Remember, Seymour at that point is in the single wing, so you don't even have a true quarterback. If you watch North Haven play and Torrington runs it too, you're snapping it to multiple different people. His name was John Master Battisto. And John Master Battisto is tremendous. They go 3-3-2 or something like that. One of those wild tie records. But John makes first team register All-State, and he brings a lot of attention to the program. I believe when they tied Derby that year, he carries the ball like 53 times.
Wow.
So he's just a lure. And I remember being a kid, and Spoonie put all Housatonic pictures. And then on top of those, he put the All-State pictures. So when we were in the locker room, I would see all these names. And somebody like me, it caught my attention. So it would start like whatever year, like 1950, and it would wrap all the way around the locker room. It would wrap all the way around. If you've ever been in the Seymour locker room, all the way to the door, most recent team. So it was like a big deal to make All-League. You would see it. It wrapped all the way around the locker room. And I remember looking at those pictures and seeing those names, and they didn't leave me, and then doing this page, they come back to me. But the 60s, in 1960, Seymour has a good team. We go 7-2. Beat Derby. Yeah. And people, it's crazy. They're like, Derby? I always beat Derby. No, not at all. That was not the case. That was Paul. That's the first year that Gessick goes to the traditional offense. Paul Pollock's the quarterback, and it leads to the modern-day Seymour football, which is where we've had a number of great quarterbacks. So Coach Gessick retired in 66, and Hef takes over in 67. But that's pretty much, I took you to the French Park era. We had a number of good players. Spoonie, he tells the story, and he told you, I played a couple clips from your interview with him in 2016. Jimmy Terradine, the great player in the late 50s, inside linebacker, tight end. He would be at the games because Spoonie lived right down the street, and he would want to be like Jimmy Terradine. And, it reminds me, and I got into it at a really young age too. I remember, like I said, I went to my first Seymour football game on a Sunday. You'll remember this. You were following the 1990 season pretty closely. So Lyman Hall and Seymour get pushed to a Sunday, and I go with my father and my brother to Lyman Hall Seymour. Pretty close game, if I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember Pete Del Toro was the quarterback, and Spoonie was the head coach. Spoonie's out there, it's like 30 degrees, and he's in a polo shirt and shorts. That stood out to me too, right? And then Lyman Hall, obviously, the next week, they pushed Derby to the brink in that magic season. And Derby's 1990 team is the first, that my brain ever hits. This is high school football. You know what I mean? I'm in, first or second grade, and, I'm at the, hearing about that team, and it's none of that really ties in. But that's when high school football really hits me. But it's not till 1993 that I personally, this is Seymour. This is where I'll be going. These are the Cats. This is the gold helmets. This is that team was great. So, and that's really from that point forward, I've really had, football's a big thing to me. So I've had a abnormal interest in it. So that's where my mind kind of takes over. So everything else is going back. I never saw Joe Stockmore play. I was in diapers, or at least in, little kids' clothes. And but I've seen him now. I've probably played, hundreds of clips, and so I didn't see Ed Essen play. I wasn't alive, So these are it's been a refresher for me. It was, and when the guys were getting me the tapes, it was like, oh God, I've never seen this. I want to see it. I remember 93. I've seen some in 93. Now I've seen all the plays, but so yeah, it's been a learning experience for me. And I hate to use the word education, but I hope it has been for everybody else,
Right. And Jamie, I think you really got to appreciate that program more and more as you became a player on there, because, there was never an easy practice for you guys. I mean, you may have had an easy game coming up that week, but it was never a day off in practice. I mean, those coaches pushed you guys to the brink. They never settled for anything but your very best effort. And just talk about what it did for you, to become like a man growing up and stuff, because I'm sure, you cherish the fact that you got to play for such great coaches like Spoonie, Bobby Kello, Danny Dunay, guys like that.
Yeah, we all loved Coach Sponheimer. Somebody told me when I was in 8th grade, they said, Spoonie runs some hard practices. And, coming from Pop Warner, you're like, oh, all practices are hard. Well, you get to sophomore year and it's like, woof. And those guys were so demanding. And the one thing about like Bobby and Spoonie was, dude, it really hit you when you were done, how much appreciation they had for you and everything. Because they pushed you hard. Like, and they made you hate practice, but they made you hate practicing poorly even more. And I think everybody can attest to this. A lot of players left the program. That was like a psychological thing. It was a physical thing. And you just had to say, how bad do I want this? Like, because nobody had an easy practice. And as far as life goes, like anytime you encounter something within reason that's difficult, you have to say, dude, look at how hard that was. And I did it. You know what I mean? And you have to put yourself back in those shoes. And I think in any sport in life, it gives you confidence going forward that you could achieve. And it's like, they were very demanding. I remember Spoonie ripping me. We were playing Sacred Heart my senior year, and I definitely eased up. We were doing some type of, it was offense, that inside run. He's right there with a wad of red man in my face, and he says, I'm not getting ready for that. I'm getting ready to win a state championship. This isn't an easy week. And it hit me. It was like, whoa. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
He as much as we prepared for the teams, it was always about us first and getting better. So, and, unfortunately, we lost Coach Kello along the way. Terrible. But he was one of the most demanding coaches ever. But if you ran into him at a local establishment or something, you'd never know it. But, what a great guy. Always remembered everybody's name. But, man, come 245, he was a bolt of lightning, man. And he demanded execution, And I have to say, like, they would have a hard time nowadays. But those days, that's the way it was. There was other hard coaches, but they wanted it done their way. And every coach does, but they were very particular about it.
Right. So let me ask you this, Jamie, in preparation for this, have you had to get in touch with former players? Have you been mainly responsible for getting former players to attend this thing? Because, you're talking 75 years, and obviously, there's still people alive from that first team. So you're talking about so many players that could attend this thing. How many players would you say you've had to call, and how many do you think, if you had to give a ballpark figure, how many do you think will attend this event?
I would say I would expect between 300 and 400 people to attend. I could be off. As far as reaching out to people have more or less reached out to me that are coming, especially those from far away. I'd like to think a lot of the guys who live nearby are going to come, especially the guys like that I played with or in and around. It's one of the mysteries of this is that I don't know. But I have had, Justin Tanner, who's been on the page since day one. He was the quarterback of the 88 team, a tremendous defensive back. He's coming up from Orlando. Pete Del Toro, who was the quarterback in 89 and 90, very good player. He's coming up from where he works down in Florida, lives down in Florida. Maroney Burchell, who you probably remember from the 80s, he's coming in from California. David Chase, I believe, is coming in from Bristol, Tennessee. I don't. All four I've never met, but here I am on a regular basis. I'm talking about these people and posting. I think that type of sentiment has driven it. There's some degree of appreciation, but I couldn't give you a number because like I put the Facebook invites and it's like, oh, these guys are coming. I don't know. I don't know how you wouldn't want to come if you could, like I know people tell me, oh, it's today's age. You can't be bothered. I guess if you can't be bothered, you can't be bothered. But, I'm confident we're going to have at least 300 people. I've tried not to make it about that, out in the page one way or another. But I really think you should want to go and see your boys. I haven't seen guys like Tim Ellis, quite a few people in a long time that I played with. I bumped in, obviously I see Jeff Gilbert, Joe DePtula, guys like that. They're still around, but there's a number of teammates that I haven't seen. So I can only imagine and I am obviously at Seymour all the time. I haven't missed a beat. I coached there from 06 to 08, and then, went up to touring and then came back. And I've been there every year since 13. I have to say, like, these guys who haven't been back, and I get it. It's hard for me to understand this because of the way that my mind is, but they haven't been back since they played. If you come that day and you're at Debarber, regardless of whether you're interested at all in the game that we're playing, and you see people you haven't seen in 30 years, just the foliage around that beautiful field and all the memories. I just don't, if you can make it, I don't know how you can't make it. So, and I'm biased, but yeah, I haven't had to actually reach out. I use the Facebook page as a reminder. I'm not doing this in any braggart way, but we get 500 last check. It's about 553 looks every day. So, you see it, the 75th anniversary. I don't want to use the word propaganda, but I do it because I realize there's people hedging. And, it's like, dude, this isn't going to be back for another 25 years. God willing, I'll be here, but I probably won't be running it. So that's really that in that case. So I think my outreach is tagging guys in clips and them throwing passes and stuff. I pictures, and I'm thrilled to death that these people are coming. Pete Del Toro inboxed me the other day, and I was like, wow, because like I said, he's the first player I remember, so sentimentally that means a lot. He says he's coming up from Florida. So, looking forward to meeting him. Looking forward to meeting so many of these guys. I got to meet Edwin Nesson the other night. He's coaching at Watertown. So I was happy we won. And then I had one of our assistants who played, Pat Dempsey. I said, when I didn't want, I wanted to listen to our head coach talk after the game and address the team. And he kept an eye on him, and I shuffled over, and he was like, Mr. Eston. So, the fanboy in me comes out, and you know how that is. It's like, when I was a kid, dude, I thought these guys were like the New York Jets, So. Yeah. No, I haven't totally reached out to anybody. I haven't been like, hey, please come, because I want people to make that decision on their own. Like I said, 300 to 450. The thing is, I don't know, and I put the Facebook invitations out. We'll see, I know Spoonie's going to be there. I've said all along, if these guys are coming from Florida and California, to anybody, I'm going to go with the number, I'm not a statistics guy, but I'm going to go with 350, 400. I hope I'm wrong in the other way. I hope we get more, I hope it's insane.
Yeah. And, Jamie, that Facebook page is really, that was great, especially during the pandemic. People had something they could look at all the time. Aunt Sonia has a page, Derby has a page, yourself, Seymour has a page. And it didn't take, obviously the pandemic, it was a shame. There was no football season. That was, not a great feeling, but at least there was, something that people could watch a lot in those clips on your page. And just like some of the stories that people told, and, some of the great Seymour teams and players, that page to me has really helped, I think, build the 75th celebration up as well.
That was this whole thing was like a whirlwind. I started posting pictures on my Facebook around February of 2020. I think the world was aware there was a virus in China, and spreading through Europe. And then, it hit so quick and everything shut down. And it was Mike Thompson, who was a 2001 Register All-State tackle, one of my teammates. He just took the bull by the horns. I didn't even know, I might have belonged to a Facebook page. I think I belonged to your Hall of Fame one. And so he does that on April 1st. And I see it, and I see 164 people have joined. I said, okay, we could do something with this. So it starts with pictures. And then it was Joe Stockmore.
Yeah.
Made me a bunch of pictures because it was like 86. Where can I get pictures? So 86. Then it's like Ben DeTula says to me, you should run clips. You could upload the stuff. And I said, well, I'm not going to do it. So he uploaded a bunch of videos. And then you had individual people like Zach Mahaley, who's one of the administrators. They would get videos from the various people. And then I met with Paul Connick, New Haven Register All-State in 1989. He was a defensive tackle on that great 1988 team. He met me at Market 32, and he gave me a whole stack of tapes, 88 and 89. And then so my wife is married to her sister is Josh Tottenham's wife. So that's Jeff Tottenham for the 93 team. So I said, does your mother have any tapes? She had all the 93 tapes. Except the Shelton game in 93, there is no third quarter. There was an audio problem, okay? So what I did with that was I actually screen recorded off the thing. And then we were able to get the 93 game up on YouTube. Bucky Pollock did a great job with that. I went down to Long Island. I gave him the 98 Berlin tape. And, we have so many of those. So it all came together. And it just hasn't, I have – and then another guy, I believe it was Jeff Foster, who played on the 86 team. His brother, or was it – I don't know. Wrong Foster. I feel bad here. His younger brother, Ram Man, I know, one of those nicknames. He was a 91 team. I have a lot in 91 because there was an entire highlight tape. The only thing is it's muted. There was like all this music on it, but you know how it is with Facebook, Yeah. So 92, I got a couple of videos from that year. You gave me the 92 Derby DVD. You gave me 90. So I was able to kind of whet people's appetites with those DVDs you gave me. So, and then we've just put it together. I can't say there's a tape or a DVD that I really don't have. Having Han Madison post the 80 championship, even have some clips from that team. I've said this on all my lives, if you've watched them, and I know somebody out there might be rolling their eyes and saying, oh, God. But 2001 is a year we had a pretty good team. We went to the state championship. It's not an easy thing to do. I know we lost to New Canaan, but I haven't gotten enough video from that. And I can remember being over at Matt Tursky's house, and we were, when he lived in Seymour, and we were watching 01 Ansonia, 01 Naugatuck. Those tapes have just kind of disappeared. The Cable 10 is gold. Because if you look at the videos from the press box, you see, they're not good.
No.
And I just most recently I had Henry Galarraga from the 89 team. He reached out to me, and he was able to send me videos of 89. And if you like, I'm posting 89 Sheehan. So I got to thank all these guys. They've made it happen. The pictures, I had a few pictures. So many people have reached out to me to get it done. And, like a lot of people will be like, well, what are you thanking them for? It's like, because content keeps this going. Content keeps it going. And these memories are special for me. And I know what gives people goosebumps. Football is something that, like, it's a full day. You're in your truck. You're at work. And all of a sudden, there's a clip of a trap, and you're like, oh, wow, I remember that game. Even if I played it 3 times. And I try to, if you notice, I do this on this day, it really, I think that brings you back. So football's my thing, it always has been. So, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. I'm a little bit of a fake journalist. So yeah, the page, it just keeps the fire burning for this. I hope the turnout's great. My mind's on our team now. I'm posting current stuff, as you can tell. If pictures. I try not to do the clips because we have other coaches on there and stuff. I don't want to give any disadvantage away. If it's something that's on the Republican American, I'll throw it up because they're going to see that anyway. But it's kind of cool. Like I got the new team picture and I put it together with the most recent one. And that was cool to do that yesterday. But the whole thing, Seymour football has always been cool to me. I hope now it's a little cooler to everybody else. And let's face it. Most people, when their 4 years are done, they're like, who cares? So whether they like the things or they comment on the things, they're seeing the things. And I think other people that went and they played in college, maybe didn't get to see their brother rip a trap against Shelton or something like that. So yeah, it's been cool. I'm nothing special. I just have a wealth of knowledge about a very minuscule thing, but it's very. It brings people together. Football's a great thing. It cuts through all the politics and everything else that kind of divides this country and divides us locally. This is, we're not talking about masks and vaccines. We're talking about, the Ansonia game or the Derby game.
Right.
Keep it right there. And thank God we're playing football this year.
Right. That's the main thing. Let me ask you this, Coach. I'm not asking you to give anything away, but I just want to know, will there be any surprises people could expect during this game that day and celebration?
So I'm not a surprise person, because like I said, I'm just a normal guy. Like I can't handle things that are, unexpected. Obviously teams are going to run plays we don't expect and things like that, but it's going to be pretty planned out. I think it's this guy, Rich Malinowski, is coming out to do the 91 years old, Everybody's talking about William Shatner going up and Jeff Bezos' thing. And, this guy's coming from Maryland. He's still alive. He's walking up the driveway. He's going to walk out on the field. He's going to flip the coin. You know what I mean? Like, oh, big deal. Like, dude, look at the guys in the Super Bowl. Dude, they needed assistance and stuff, you know? And some people are in great shape. Dan Heff is going to be there. Dan Heff is 93 years old.
Oh, Dan will be there. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, God
I
willing,
think,
it's like,
I think, you know, no celebration could be complete without him being there because, I mean,
right.
you know, that era of the 70s, he really like changed the style, especially offensively for high school football.
But no surprises. You know, listen, this is what everybody should expect. They should expect to see people that they haven't seen. They should be back at a place that if they've forgotten and again, I can't understand this because Debarber Field is like it's always over my shoulder to some extent. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I kind of have to put myself in other people's shoes. Like you haven't been there to see that deep foliage. You know what I mean? It brings you back. Like. And, you know, I get it. Like, how interested are they going to be in whether we be Career Academy? That's frankly not really what it's about. It's going to be about that for me that day, which is, you know, the struggle. Look, I'm doing this so everybody else could have the 75th anniversary. I was in a position where I could do this. I'm going to be worried about beating Career Academy that day. And to be honest with you, that's a lot harder than it initially appeared. Career Academy's got a heck of a team.
Right.
So we're that day's going to be tough. Hopefully I can see some of these people. I'm going to try. But when I'm in game mode, look at, and I refer to this. We were playing Wilby week 1. I took a picture with my son and, you know, all that stuff. But these, you know, when I feel like there's, you know, a chance that we could possibly, you know, we're going to be in a competitive game, I'm juiced up, you know, and that's how it's always been like. But I'm going to hopefully see some faces and stuff. I just, yeah, it's crazy. It's all coming together. And, you know, I've gotten a lot of help from our kickoff club. Those ladies are doing a great job, you know. So we have, like, the parents of the kids now are on there, and they get it. We have a few people that are, you know, with Seymour blood, you know, so it's hard to explain to somebody from not from Seymour. They're like, really? It's like, oh, okay. It's just a small town, man. And we're not ashamed of it. You know, we like to, like, oh, this person, you know, you're from Derby, you know, like, it's small town USA. We you know, and I know some people like to forget about hometown. They got out of there, and that's great. I'd be lying if I said I did, you know. But I don't know everybody, man. I graduated in 03. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of these guys. I've met some of them along the way, but as far as surprises go, man, I hope that day is just run well. I hope that everything from the minute they get there, and it's going to start with parking, you know. I'm most concerned right now with Ansonia because we play next week. But then number 2 on my list of things is parking. I never thought I'd really be that worried about parking spaces. So I got to get the parking done. And then I want to see that I could secure spots for the guys who traveled from out of state because that's something you got to really appreciate. So we're going to try to get this done. You know, everything's kind of been from the seat of my pants or the seat of my cell phone. And, you know, I think we're going to land the plane. I think we're going to be fine. I think this is going to be as good or better than everybody thought. Spoonie put together the tailgate. I appreciate all the work he's done. There's certain things he can do that I can't. And he's been great. What else would you expect from the legend? I know he's excited. I talked to him in June at Danny Dene's house. And, you know, he doesn't have Facebook, but his wife does. And you know, he just, you know, he's juiced about this, you know. And, you know, it's the big day. It's the big day. Tomorrow will be 15 days away, and it like hits you. You know, it's like wow. You know,
right.
And when you're on the side of putting it together, it's really wild.
Right. So let me ask you this, Coach. The game itself. What time is the game going to start?
The game's going to kick off at 12 p.m.
12 p.m. And what time will all these ceremonies begin at? 10 o'clock? Are we talking or 10?
So what's scheduled is this: the premises, the Debarber Field, will open at 10 a.m. That's when they'll start charging the admission. You'll come in, and there's nothing I can do about the admission, guys. Okay, there's nothing. Right? It's $5. Yeah. I hope you don't come in from 3 or 4 or 5 states away and you don't want to pay $5. So you're going to come in. We're going to have a tent and chair set up on the practice field, which is on the scoreboard side, and you know people can get name tags. Then there's going to be tours available because we have that Seymour Sports Hall of Fame now. We have the wing. I also think that, and you know, this is another thing that I can't quite understand. But Seymour High has changed a lot since 1962. So people that haven't been inside the school, they're going to get an opportunity to do that. It's also 10 a.m. is going to give people a chance to rendezvous. There's people that, you know, they're coming in Saturday, maybe from a drive away, Massachusetts, New Jersey, whatever. Haven't seen people in a while. or other parts of Connecticut. And then, you have the people obviously who flying in and they're coming in Friday night. It's going to give them a chance to like rendezvous, get their feet underneath them. We're going to do the warm-ups, and we'll, like we always do. The game's going to kick off. We're going to have Helmanauskas, the only living member of the original team. He's going to flip the coin. The game will be played. We'll go to halftime. At halftime, we're going to honor every player from a decade.
Wow.
So we've had 8 decades of Seymour. Well, this is the 9th decade. We've had 8. The 40s, I all kidding aside, I expected the amount of people in the 40s is going to be rather low. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. So anything from 2010 to 2019, where that's going to be confusing, and I hope everybody can figure this out, it's the fall of when you play. The other thing that's going to be confusing is if I played in 89, or if my senior year was the 90 season, am I the 80s or 90s? I feel like, you know what? It's like being born on a leap year. You want your birthday to be the 28th of February or March 1st. We can let you make that choice. But they're going to be all announced and honored at halftime. We're not going to specifically honor a team or an individual. And I'm going to be honest with you. I talked to the kickoff club about this last night. If you've been on the Facebook page, I think I've done a good job of honoring the teams, and I've done a good job of honoring the individuals. This is about all of us.
Right. And Coach, what have you guys said to your current players as far as like, have you talked to them at all about this big event? Because I mean, this is something that they're going to get to see, past football players, some that are legends, great teams and things like that. So they're going to kind of take this all in themselves, and they get to play in this game. So this is something, especially for your seniors, who really get to, look back at this and say, it's like, if somebody had Mickey Mantle Day or, Dave, whatever it might be, Joe Montana Day. This is something that they're going to get to play in the game and kind of remember for the rest of their lives as well.
That's something that our head coach Mike Kearns, he did mention it during the preseason. The day we were at French Park, we practiced there, and he mentioned it to him. But I think that's going to be more kind of that week. We're going to have a couple of players that are scheduled to come in and talk. I think it's going to hit the kids then. Kids live so in the moment now, but it's been mentioned. They know it's 75th. We have helmet decals, T-shirts. So they may not know really what is going on. Like, there isn't really the embracing history. There are still some old pictures up in the locker room, but I don't know. You have me on the staff. I can tell a story, but you're just so in the moment with football. Like I think as Spoony said, you're so right now. But we're gonna have some pretty good former players come back that week and talk to the kids. And I think by the time they hit the field on Saturday, they're gonna realize that this is bigger than they are, to some extent, and in terms of the history. It's been mentioned. I'm kind of I hope it resonates with them, but we haven't really spent that much time on it. They know that the 75th anniversary is coming. I think they understand where 75th anniversary is, but no, not really mentioned. We have a lot of guys on our staff that are not like necessarily Seymour guys. So it's been like for me to tell some stories and what is this and but no, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think that week leading up, get the emotion going. It's I think it's apropos. We play on a Saturday. We played on Saturdays for a really, really long time. So if we did it at night, it'd be confusing. But we'll touch on the history when that time comes. I think who better than myself, But the kids are aware of the Facebook page too, which is good in some ways, and but that's really it,
Yeah, and Coach, you touched on him a little bit, but I don't think anything will put a damper on this day. But if there's one thing that will be sad about this day is, you talk about everybody that's going to be there, and one guy that won't be, of course, is Coach Bobby Kello. He passed away in 2020, and that's the only thing I think. If there's anything, that's the only. I don't even want to say negative, but thing that's probably the saddest part is that he won't be there because you just can't imagine a 75th anniversary without Coach Kello there.
Yeah, you hit it right in the head. But he'll be looking down and he'll be happy to see all of his former players, his former teammates and everybody there. In a weird way, his unfortunate passing, it was one of the moments that it galvanized everybody. Kello's a legend. I mean, I remember the day he passed. It was like, do I post? Do I not post? It was like, it is sad that he won't be there, and his lack of presence will certainly be missed. Kello would have a blast at this thing too, man. So it's sad. He'd be up from Florida. But I know people have mentioned it. He will be there. He'll be there in spirit. He'll be there in conversation. He's the one guy though that we would certainly like to have there, but we're not. And it won't be the same without him. It won't be. But Bobby would want us to have it. Go on, and I'm sure he's looking down at us with a smile on his face. He's proud. And Bobby was a big contributor to the page. Yeah. And I remember somebody saying to me, what's great is that he got to enjoy some of the memories that he was a huge part of, where you posting and then all that stuff. And I never really dawned on me, that, this whole Facebook page and retro football, and it was a new thing. And Kells was constantly commenting. And so, yeah, it's terrible. I remember crying when I first heard it. I was just shook. It was like, I didn't think it would hit me like that. You just don't. And just how much of an impact he had on everybody. He's probably one of the best assistant coaches in the history of, high school football. He had such, usually the head coach is like the who's here, and then, everybody else. Kello ran the offense. I mean, and everything ran through him. The cable 10 guys constantly talking about him, and then what a great baseball coach he was. I mean, and just a math teacher as well. His presence, he will certainly be a void that's not there. We had the tribute for him in July, but we would certainly, Bobby Kello will be the main, cat that won't be there, but he'll be certainly discussed,
Right. And, Coach, we talked about Spoonie a little bit, and, you've talked about what he's meant to the program and stuff, but I'll tell you what, I mean, he put in 29 years as a head coach, probably 10 years as an assistant at least, so he had a long time at Seymour. And the fact that he's still involved, I think he helps with the Hall of Fame that they do. And, the fact that you said he's helping with all this stuff that makes your job easier, because a lot of that stuff you're not advanced with, he knows what to do. I mean, it just goes to show that, once he left coaching, he may have left coaching, but he never left being a Seymour football Wildcat.
No, it's in his blood, and he is, and I've mentioned on the page, he is beyond a shadow of a doubt the number one figure in the history of the program. He was a great player in the 60s. Yeah. He went on to play in Kentucky. He returns, I believe, in 76. So he's on the staff in 76, 77, 78, 79. At 29, he gets the head job. His first season, he wins the state championship. And, talking to Spoonie, he told me he darn near stepped away after the end of the 92 season. Very disappointing, 3-7. At that point, quite a few of his players, as they went on to serve in the military, they were writing him letters all the time. There was just a lot going on. And he said, is this time to get away? And I remember him saying, he says, I popped the tape in around Christmas time, come back to the weight room in January. And he says, I'm watching our Amity game. And I said, we could be really good next year. And he says, that's why I made the decision to come back. But Spoonie is Seymour football. He is what we think of. He is all about tradition, consistency. Yeah. He's this T-shirt. He's the blue T-shirt. He's the jacket. He's the helmets up on the kickoff. He's the paws on the helmet. He lives on through all that. He's a legend. They don't make him like they used to. I mean, I still call him Coach. I have the utmost respect for him. I know how hard this is as an assistant. He was just when I say he is Seymour football, it's basically what we think about. It's when you think about Seymour football, you think about the man with the mustache. You think about the shorts and just toughness and attitude and mentality. And he's what makes us special, because he was so demanding of us, because he was so strict. No earrings ever. Always black cleats. All those things. He kind of had his own rules too. If he didn't like it, it wasn't going to fly. If he was in a bad mood, it wasn't going to fly. So when I say he is Seymour football, I don't just mean that he was a great player, which he was. I don't just mean that he was a great coach, head coach, which he was. I mean that he instilled these traditions that, still live on. I saw a picture from the first game. We still had the helmets up on the kickoff. You know what I mean? It's like boom. Boom is another thing, or bam. What do you always just say? He's the tie that binds. You know what I mean? I'm talking to a guy from 80-something. We both played for Spoonie. You know what I mean? So it's great to see Coach. I think that's going to be an emotional day for him. These things are more emotional for me as I get older. I might be emotional that day. I don't know when it'll hit me, but, and not because it's like, oh, I put this together. No. It's just something that I love, really reaching a really high level of, you asked me what number of people we're going to get. When I first thought about this thing, I was thinking about like maybe like 75 people and a couple sternos, and we'd have now we're worried about whether it's going to be 300 or 500. I don't know. We'll see. It's getting a lot of attention. I wish I could give you a number. I can't. I can just tell this to everybody is that we're waiting for you to come. So
yeah.
That's it. But Spoonie's going to be there. It's going to be a great day for him, and most importantly, he's got, a lot more connection to going back than I do. And, him being the head coach for 30 years, I was just lucky enough to have played for him. He made my passion for this that much more. And, this Facebook page wouldn't be possible without him. I can't believe the reactions I get when I play those Cable 10 clips. Guys say, "Oh, I get goosebumps hearing his voice." You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. He's a legend. I mean, there's no really other way to put it.
Right. So, Coach, before we go, just let me ask you this. What is the message to, anybody who isn't sure about going yet or who is going? I mean, what is your message to everybody about this big event that you want to stress to them the most?
Well, it's once in a quarter century. We're into the digital world. You've had more than ample opportunity to come. It's one day. Every 25 years, 26 in this case. Get there, have a great time, see people you haven't seen in 30 years, be in a place that meant something so much to you a long time ago. Come back. Be there with all of us to celebrate something that all meant so much to us that we were all part of for one day. That's it. One day. And that's it. I mean, I know people love it. Whether it's the 4 years they were there or, going to see somebody and smelling those pipes and those cigarettes burning the Debarbers at the bleacher and watching, Bobby LaRoe catch a touchdown pass. This is our thing. This is the only football that a lot of us can hang our hat on. I know a lot of people going to play college football, but man, this is what we're all about. Be there that day. That's it. I mean, I can't say it enough. It's going to be special. It's not we're going to have a game, the kids playing, but 75th anniversary is for the past. It's for the past. And I'm going to do it the same way they did it in the 50th anniversary because I'm all about tradition. That day they beat Watertown. Believe it or not, I don't know the score. I think it was a considerable amount. November 4th, 1995. And that's how you do it. You don't do it at a bar restaurant. You get together every 25 years to watch the boys play. The same field you played on. So that's it. That's how we do it.
Right. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on today. I'm looking forward to this because, I mean, being from Derby, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the Valley to me. And, this is one of the storied programs in the Valley for, like you said, 75 years. And I mean, I really look forward to the game. I look forward to the celebration. And I congratulate you and everyone who's ever put on a Seymour football uniform. And I think you guys should all just savor this day, enjoy it, and congratulations on 75 years.
Hey, Nietzsche, thank you. Thank you for all you do. I think us Valley guys, see what you're doing and appreciate it. And, we just keep kind of the past alive, but we're connecting the past to the present. It's a hard thing to do, but you've done a great job with it. So thank you. And hope to see everybody on October 30th.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Folks, my advice to you is very simple. Go to the game. If you live around here, there's no reason not to go. You see people are traveling from, distances all over the world just to come back to where it all began for them. My advice would be go to this game. This is a great football program. And, I know I'm from Derby, and, there's people from Ansonia and Shelton, and we all love our programs. We all love our football programs and, our schools. But you got to remember, too, that we all know what it's like to have these great traditions that we have. And Seymour football is right at the top when it comes to tradition. They have stood the test of time. They've had a storied football program for, like I said, 75 years, 4 state championships. I mean, tons of playoff appearances. But more importantly than that, they've had a program. And that's, to me, the most important thing. It's always been a program day in, day out, year in, year out. And that's what Seymour football is. So come in 15 days, that Saturday morning and part of the afternoon. To me, the only thing that's going on in the Valley that day is celebrating Seymour football. And I hope you all will attend. For 75 years of celebration of the Seymour Wildcats, I'm Mike Kenichi saying good night, everyone.